What up, world? Welcome to another episode of I Bleed Sports. As you know, I am the host, Brandon Janeau, and like always, on all podcast platforms everywhere, Brandon Janeau Show. Social media platforms: Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Facebook. Oh, wait, Instagram and Threads, Brandon Janeau. I gotta remember that. Instagram and Threads, Brandon Janeau. Um, Facebook, The Brandon Janeau Show, and TikTok, Brandon Janeau Show. And I have a Twitter X, BJanu on there as well. And of course, like always, man, YouTube channel is where you can find the visuals of this episode and all the episodes, man. Um, that is also Brandon Janu Show. Hope you guys enjoy this episode because tonight it's a very special I Believe Sports. Now, usually I do I Believe Sports on Tuesdays, but because sports sports is about to get crazy in the next couple of days with the return of basketball. NBA is back this Tuesday. First games will be this Tuesday. And so tonight I will be doing an NBA edition of I Bleed Sports. NBA jump off show, pretty much previewing the NBA season, this upcoming NBA season, talking about some things. I did this last year, had a lot of fun doing it last year, so it's only right that I do it this year. Um, so let's get into it. A lot of things have happened in the NBA. Some trades have happened. Some players have been moved around, but for the most part, it's been kind of quiet. You actually look at how you know sports world has been over the last I don't know couple of years. The NBA has been pretty damn quiet, shockingly enough. So all of the moves that have been made, um, is pretty interesting. Um, I don't have it written down, but I want to talk about this. So, um, here's my thing. I know some people that are extremely, extremely excited about LeBron James playing with his son Bronny. I want to say how it's gonna look in a regular season situation. This preseason shit don't really matter to me. I don't really care about NBA preseason. I don't care for any preseason, to be honest with you. I don't give a fuck if it's MLB. I don't care if it's spring training with the MLB. I don't give a fuck if it's NFL preseason, hockey preseason, NBA preseason. I don't give a fuck about preseason. To me, it's just a waste of time and energy. Um, but here's the thing: when this kid got drafted, uh, it's pretty obvious he was getting drafted to the Lakers. Um, but maybe I'm just in the minority. I don't know, but I think him going to the Lakers does more harm than good to his career because it feels, not saying it is, but it feels like a charity case. It feels like you're only doing this because LeBron made you do it. And I don't know what that really says about his career. Now, Bronny could turn into one of the best players maybe to ever do it. I don't fucking know. Maybe one of the greatest second round players to ever get drafted in the second round ever. I don't fucking know. Nobody does. But what I feel in my heart of hearts is just like this kid didn't really do shit in college, and now I'm expecting him to come to the pros and do something. And and that's the thing. I don't think this team is going to be great this year. I think the Lakers are going to actually suck this year. Um, I think you have an amazing rookie that isn't Bronny James, and I'll talk about him later on. But I think he's going to be amazing. But I don't think the Lakers are going to be good. That whole team has become the basketball equivalent of the New York Jets. It's beholden to one player and one player only. And if that one player doesn't like something, he's just gonna get rid of it. Instead of you putting your foot down And unlike the Jets, the Lakers have actually won championships in recent years. So the fact that you are beholden to LeBron James and pretty much did everything he told you to do, which was, hire the coach he wanted, then go draft my son. I just have a hard time believing the Lakers are actually a good franchise when you have literally your whole your whole you know agenda is based on one person. And as great as LeBron James has been in his career, he is getting older, and at some point you have to put your foot down and rebuild. And I just don't think the Lakers are going to be good this year. I just don't see it. I don't see it. Like I think the Lakers are going to be extremely bad this year. LeBron's not going to let them sink, but you don't really have anything. If LeBron goes down and Anthony Davis goes down, what do you do? Do you start trading off pieces? The pieces that you trade off, who are you trading? And that's really where the question starts to become. So they still don't really have a true point guard. I mean, D'Angelo Russell, but I don't really trust that dude in certain situations. So yeah, but it is what it is, man. But yeah, I don't really like the Lakers a lot this year. I'll be honest with you, I just don't. All right, let's get into it, man. So I'm gonna say I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna say I'm gonna start this off. So I'm gonna start like this. Yeah, I'm gonna do it like that. So who I believe could be rookie of the year this year in his upcoming season. I think, to me personally, rookie of the year is going to go down to two players. One of those players plays for the Lakers, and the other one is Zach Edey, center for the Memphis Grizzlies, former wooden wooden National Player of the Year, Naismith National Player of the Year, in college basketball. I think it was 2 times, to be honest with you. Um, National Player of the Year, Purdue, played at Purdue, did an amazing job at Purdue. Um, I think he's going to have a massive impact in Memphis. Um, he's not he's not Jared Jackson Jr. He can actually he has grown as he's progressed in college. And I think him being in college for so long, so many people probably don't really talk about him. But to be a two-time National Player of the Year, to be one of the best players in college basketball, and then still get drafted in the top 10 of the draft, that's pretty damn amazing. And then you go to a team like Memphis, where Ja Morant is finally going to have a healthy start to his season. Like I said, Jared Jackson Jr. is finally going to be there and healthy and play. Um, is all Zach Edey's got to do is just come in and just be him, pretty much. Um, and I think he's just going to fall into alignment. I think he's going to break a record for most double doubles by a rookie in a season because I think he's just going to easily average 20 and 10. And you might think I'm crazy, but I think he's going to average 20 and 10, and it's going to be pretty easy. The other rookie of the year that I believe can be rookie of the year is Dotson Connect for the Los Angeles Lakers. Speaking of somebody's going to average 20 points in the season, this is it. Dalton Connect, I think, is going to have an amazing season. Um, my problem with him, and this is the one thing about the Lakers, is that they're gonna fuck it up because they're gonna see him being really fucking good, and instead of you keeping him on the bench and instead of you keeping him on the bench and letting him play, coming off the bench and giving you your 20 points, You're gonna have a couple games where you're not really good, and then you're gonna say, you know what? Let's put the rookie in to spread out the floor, and now you fuck up your rotation. And I think that's what's gonna hurt him. But I think that he can still be rookie of the year. I think because of how bad the Lakers possibly will be to me personally, I think the Lakers are gonna be really bad. There's gonna be a lot of games he's gonna come in and he's gonna score 20, 30 points off the bench, and you're just gonna be like, damn, like and that right there. And he may even secure the six man. He might get six man. I don't think he will, but I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. But I think he's gonna win rookie of the year. I think either Zach Edey of Memphis or Dante Connect of the Lakers is going to win rookie of the year. All right, my most underrated player coming into the 2024-25 season. I got two. I got two in two different um conferences. So yeah, first one is Pablo Beccaro, forward from the Orlando Magic. He had an amazing season last year, an incredible season. So crazy, so quiet that you wouldn't even know that this kid was the number one overall pick a couple years ago, and he has become one of the best players in the NBA. And when you look into the Eastern Conference, where the Eastern Conference is always a toss up, you know what I'm saying? You got Miami can always get hot and get into the playoffs and then do damage. The Pacers are there. You got the Knicks right now. You got the maybe the Bulls if Lamar, Lonzo Ball and everybody could stay healthy with the Bulls. Maybe they can really make some noise. You still got Milwaukee and Philly. The juggernauts, the Milwaukees and the Phillies. Teams like that in the East. But for the most part, oh yeah, in Cleveland with Donovan and Darius Garland, I want to see how that's gonna look. But for the most part, Orlando's such a weird, weird team. Like, isn't it? Orlando's a very weird team because, and I don't mean weird, I mean more so unique. Because Orlando doesn't have to really do too much to be one of the best teams in the East. But to a lot of people, if they overachieve, then they did too much. It's like, the fuck? It's like if they overachieve, then they did too much. But if they actually just play, like if they because the East is so weird. I think the Orlando Magic literally could end up with a top four seed in the Eastern Conference. I think they could end up in the top four. I, I don't think they're gonna be one or two or three, but I do think top four. Now, if they end up third, excuse me, there's a reason for that. Somebody took a step back. I can't remember who was the three seeds, the top four seeds in the East last year. Cleveland, I think it was a four. I want to say the Knicks was a three. I think. Yeah, the Knicks were like a three seed. The Knicks were like a three seed. The Knicks were like a three seed. Boston was one. Boston was one. Knicks was two. Milwaukee was three. That's who the fuck was three. And because Milwaukee lost to Indiana, and Indiana played the Knicks. Yeah. So yeah. So and the Cavaliers was the fourth seed. So yeah, I think Orlando could end up fourth. I think somebody's gonna take a step back, like a massive step back. I think that the Bucks have the Bucks also as another team. They really didn't improve during the offseason. They didn't really do shit to improve. They just think that Giannis and Dame is just gonna work itself out, and also keeping Doc Rivers as the head coach is bound to fail. I'm sorry. As much as I respect Doc Rivers, you know, as a head coach, I have little to no faith in him when it comes to postseason success. I just don't think he's gonna be good, and that's just me. Um, but yeah, man, I think Orlando could definitely be a top four seed. I think people don't really talk about Orlando because again, Orlando feels such like a team that just gonna fly under the radar again this year. But that's what's so great about them. I think Pablo Becerra is going to have an amazing season, so amazing that he's gonna get some MVP votes. Yeah. So don't be surprised if you hear Orlando and Pablo Becerra get some MVP votes because you're gonna be like, what the fuck? What did they do? I think they're gonna finish in the top three of the East. I said four, but I now thinking about it, I'm like, nah, I don't really have too much faith in Boston. I don't really have that much faith in Milwaukee, and Philly's already hurt, like with Paul George. I don't really have too much faith in Philly to begin with, anyway. So outside of maybe the Knicks, who everybody's projecting, I think the Knicks, Pacers, and Cavs are going to be really good teams this year. Maybe the Knicks because so much expectations are on them now right now, but the Pacers and the Cavs are just like the Magic, very quiet, flying under the radar. Nobody's really talking about them. And I think Pablo Banchero is going to have one of the best seasons. I can see Pablo Banchero averaging a double double easily, even flirting with triple doubles in certain games. I can easily see it. So yeah, the other player that I have that I say is underrated to me coming into this season, just this season. I'm not saying he's underrated the entire career. Some people will even say he's overrated, but to me, he's underrated coming into this season, and that's Chris Paul. Chris Paul going to a new team, new situation. I think Chris Paul is extremely underrated because I think we're so used to Chris Paul being Chris Paul, but every time he's been on a new team, the team has reached heights that nobody's seen before. Like nobody has seen before. You don't believe me? Y'all remember the pandemic year when he went to OKC and he got them in the playoffs? And you're just like, OKC has no one, not a soul, and this man got him in the playoffs. And this is the year I think Sid Gilgeous-Alexander I think actually got injured. So Chris Paul playing was just like, what the fuck? You're just sitting there like Chris Paul really just got these dudes in the playoffs. Yeah, it was the pandemic, but still, it's like, what the fuck? Then the next fucking year, season starts. Where is he at? Phoenix. What happens? He gets him in the NBA Finals. You want to even go back even further than that? He got to Houston, got him in the Western Conference Finals. Something that even Russell Westbrook couldn't do. Got him in the Western Conference Finals. The Clippers. How many times they've been in divisional? Got to the second round of the playoffs with the Clippers. Shit, even the Pelicans, Pelicans slash Hornets, when they were just the New Orleans Hornets. People forget the first year they got back into New Orleans was their best fucking year as a franchise. Like we won like 60 fucking games that year. Peja Stojakovic, David West, Tyson Chandler, um, Morris Peterson. That fucking team was nuts. Like the New Orleans Hornets team that year was fucking nuts. Like people forget how fucking incredible that team was. One of the best teams in the Western Conference. We lost to the Spurs, of course, who lost to the Lakers. But that was the first year we were back in New Orleans as a team. And we won 60 something, like 60 games. I think we finished only behind the Lakers, who won, I think, like 62, like that year, who went on, of course, for Kobe and Powell and you know, went to the NBA Finals that year and lost to Boston. That was the big 3 year. Ironically enough, Doc Rivers. But Chris Paul, usually when he goes to a team for the first time, when he first get acclimated to the team, it's smooth fucking sailing. And now he's in San Antonio. Well, one of the greatest head coaches to ever do it, Greg Popovich. And you have possibly one of the greatest young talents we've seen in years, in Victor Wembanyama. And if Chris Paul can manage a way to get Victor Wembanyama to play like we think Victor Wembanyama can play, especially late last year, how he was playing, the Spurs team is going to be dangerous. Very fucking dangerous. And that is why I say Chris Paul is probably one of the most underrated players coming into 2024, 2025 season for the NBA. Because of Chris Paul, and he's also got a rookie, Stefan Castle from UConn, a freshman last year. Now you got a rookie with you. He's a man. This is. I'm just telling y'all, Spurs gonna be a problem, and Chris Paul is gonna be one of the reasons for why. So be very cognizant of what's about to happen. But just like I have underrated players I feel just don't get the much love, I got some overrated motherfuckers I feel like maybe probably get a little bit too much love, and I don't really see how this season is gonna be great for them. And one of those players out the gate is already a player that ain't even fucking starting the season, and that's Kawhi Leonard. Listen, I hate this debate. I hate this dumbass debate that everybody has sometimes about players, particularly this situation, right? When something like this happens. So Kawhi Leonard is already out indefinitely. Hasn't even laced up his shoes. Hasn't even stepped on a basketball court. He's already out. Out indefinitely. No word when he's going to play. Remember, this man had to not he opted out of the Olympics because he was hurt. Before they even played the game, even in that sense. This is why I said I hate this debate when people say it's up to the player if he wants to retire. No, not when you are chronically injured every fucking year. Kawhi is not like Derrick Rose, who just retired. See, Derrick Rose, after a while, wasn't counted on to be the franchise player because you knew his injuries. The Clippers have invested so much into Kawhi Leonard, they let Paul George walk. And you signed James Harden, which is a whole nother conversation that I'm not even gonna engage into tonight. Because if I really wanted to, I would just easily just get depressed about what the fuck that decision is for the Clippers. But either way it goes, Kawhi Leonard is somebody that the Clippers have pretty much hung their whole entire franchise on, and he's played 70 fucking games for you probably once, and I don't even know if he played 70 fucking games for you. And I would probably say it was his first year in LA. That might have been the only time I've seen Kawhi play consistently games with this team. This man, and I know people are gonna sit there and say, "Well, Brandon, the Spurs misdiagnosed his injuries, so we don't know really what's wrong with him." If that's the case, bro, go take all the injuries you go take all the surgeries you need because I think the Kawhi Leonard, the franchise guy Kawhi Leonard, is over. Do I think he can ever play basketball to that level ever again? You gotta be on the court, my brother. And this is why I say I don't like this. I don't like when people sit there and try to have this conversation of retirement with people, right? Because it's the same that is happening in the NFL with Tua. And I feel some type of way about that too. It's like you can't tell a player when to retire. They know when they want to retire. It's like that's up until the point where you are continuously getting injured. And we see you not being able to produce or even contribute to the team the way you are supposed to, or even in the senses of the way you probably want to. Every year you're on the bench. At some point, there has to be a conversation. Kawhi Leonard may need to retire. He does. And I get people that want to sit there and say, "Oh, but that's his decision." It is up until the point where my franchise is a sinking ship because we can't let go of the cargo that is you. That's a problem. And Waller is already hurt. He's already out for the beginning of the season. Who's to say he might not even play at all this season? Because that's more of a possibility than him actually stepping on a basketball court this year. And it makes me think, what the fuck were you doing? Because you didn't play in the Olympics. So clearly you had surgery, I'm assuming. And you had surgery before then because you got injured in the season. So what are you doing to rehab and get back into a good game shape? What are you doing? Because clearly whatever the fuck you are trying to do, you are failing miserably at it. And again, you are putting a lot of people in positions, especially if you're the Clippers organization, and Steve Ballmer, who's the owner of this team for like a decade now, you've been telling your franchise, you've been telling your people, we're gonna get this opportunity, and then on top of that, you have a new stadium built, and your top player again isn't there. At some point, the coddling and the babying and the lying to people to sit there and just build whatever preference you have in your head has to die. And you have to face reality. And reality is Kawhi Leonard might need to retire. He might need to retire because I don't know when you're going to be healthy, if ever. Second most overrated player to me coming into this season is a person I talked about already, and that's LeBron James. I know it's blasphemy to call LeBron James overrated. It's blasphemy. But he's overrated for his decisions that he has made. Like I said, you forced this team's hand. You got the coach fired. You hired a coach that you wanted. You got them to draft your son. And again, this team made no real strides during the offseason to bring anything in. Y'all are literally being told to do whatever they want. He's telling you what to do for your franchise without any true understanding if this man's going to be able to play past this year or next year. Maybe he win. Maybe he says, you know what? I got my son. I played 1 year with my son. I'm done. And now, do you rebuild? You just paid JJ Redick all this money to come in, and maybe he might not be the head coach. And that's the thing. The Lakers have this isn't the Lakers. It's LeBron's team, and this is the thing. And if the Lakers don't have a great year, are you gonna blame LeBron? And that's my problem with the Lakers. LeBron's overrated because of the general manager side of the team ownership side of his game, not the game on the court, the team ownership side of him on when he is trying to make decisions. I do not trust LeBron as a decision maker in the front office. On the court, that's a whole different conversation. But in the front office, and I don't give a fuck how diehard you are, I am telling you, in the front office, he is a terrible basketball minded player. Not on the court. Again, let me say that again. Not on the court, but in the front office. He cannot put business and personal to the side. And that is what's going to fuck the Lakers up. Because there's no way in hell, if I am the Lakers, I am drafting your son. I am telling LeBron to his face, there is no way in hell I am drafting your son, kid. We're gonna undraft this. We're gonna sign this motherfucker as an undrafted rookie and move the fuck on. You paid him. You paid his son before you even paid your first round draft pick. Now some people say, nah, that's just a good business move. No, that's LeBron James willing his power and making sure his son got signed before anything else happened. His son should be in G League. His son should be playing in the motherfucking G League to start his career. Instead, where is he? On the roster. Why? Because LeBron wants him there. Fuck out of here. As a player, one of the greats. As a front office minded person, he fucking sucks. And he's fucking overrated. Most impactful player. To me, it's Joel Embiid. I could have went with the Joker. I could have went with Jalen Brown. I think Jalen Brown's more impactful than Jason Tatum. Could have went with Giannis. Could have went with like I said, the Joker. Could have went with say Gilgis Alexander. I could have went with Victor Wembanyama. I could have went with a healthy Zion when he's actually on the court. I could have went with LeBron. I could have went with a lot of players. Anthony Edwards, Luka Doncic. But I went with impactful. Now last year I had this and it was more most important. But I'm gonna say impactful. And to me, Joel Embiid is the most impactful. Why I say that is because name me the last time Philly was good, really good, dominant good. Was Joel Embiid on the court or not? That is why I feel like he's the most impactful. Not telling you, I'm not. I don't give a fuck about stats and numbers and MVPs and shit like that. I am looking at Joel Embiid and I'm saying to myself, he's got to do. He's got to be better than better. Philly this year is in the same boat to me as Denver this year. And I know a lot of people don't talk about it, but Denver is in the same boat as Philly this year. What I mean by that is you have a really great player and some really okay and decent pieces around them. But how far do they go lies on the player, the best player, which is Joel Embiid, and for Denver, it's the Joker. Now, I would say Jamal Murray is a little bit better than Tyrese Maxey, but that to me, that's not even a very large percentage point. Like it's a very slim margin that I believe Jamal Murray is better than Tyrese Maxey. Very small. I think Joel Embiid is the most impactful player coming into the 2024-2025 season because everything hinders on his performance and not Paul George, and maybe even a little bit more than Tyrese Maxey because I think Tyrese Maxey's performance is just as impactful for Philly. But Joel Embiid being healthy is a massive key to Philly's dominance, particularly in the new Eastern Conference. With now a defending champion in Boston, with the moves the Knicks have made, with Chicago possibly being healthy, and of course you always have Milwaukee with Giannis and Dame. Are there finally going to be more of an understanding of what they are together with Doc Rivers as head coach? And not to mention the Pacers, who had a great year last year, who I kind of said was going to be a really good team last year. Told y'all to be very, very, get ready for them. But also the Magic, who I think is going to take off this year. Um, you always got the Cavs lurking. And a teams that a lot of people really haven't talked about. I know they suck last year, but Miami. Nobody's really talking about Miami. They got injured a lot last year. Jimmy Butler went down. You had Tyler Hero go down. But Miami's always a sneaky fucking team. And another team nobody's really talking about? Some motherfuckers from the north. Toronto. Toronto's another team that's very quiet. But can make some fucking moves and be very fucking dominant. So be very, very on alert for that. But I think Joel Embiid is the most impactful. Now, I'm not saying he's the most valuable, but he's the most impactful player coming into this upcoming season because of how his team has to move off of him. So yeah, I'm gonna skip one and come back to it. Defensive Player of the Year to me will be Victor Wembanyama. He should have won it last year. Let's get real. Let's keep let's, let's keep it a beam. Let's keep it a beam. Let's keep it 100. He should have won it last year. There's no way in hell you saw Rudy Gobert and Victor Wembanyama and you thought Rudy Gobert was the best defensive player of the year. Fuck out of here. Victor Wembanyama will win Defensive Player of the Year. I can actually see him breaking the blocks record this year in the NBA. I don't know who has it. I think it might be the late great Dikembe Mutombo. I think Dikembe has the blocks record for a season. I can easily see Victor Wembanyama breaking the blocks record this year because he can block you on the perimeter and in the paint. I think he will get the blocks record this year, and I think that's how he's going to secure his first Defensive Player of the Year in many, many more to come. My Coach of the Year, who I think is going to be my Coach of the Year, is going to be Kenny Atkins. He is now the head coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think Cleveland, like I said, is going to finish at least in the top 4 or 5 in the Eastern Conference, maybe even top 3 in the Eastern Conference. Nobody really talks about Cleveland until you see them play, and then you're like, oh shit, Cleveland's really fucking good. And then you're like, oh shit, Cleveland's really fucking good. I hope they figured out the Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell situation last year. That was really shaky last year. Very consequential, very consequential to the Cleveland Cavaliers moving forward. Donovan got hurt. Darius Garland felt like he was faking it. It was a lot of shit going on. But this team in Cleveland is really dangerous and always has been. And I feel like with the players that they have now, so they also lost Max Strus who got injured. He's not gonna be playing, but I feel like Cleveland's a dangerous fucking team. And I feel like with Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell both being there, and Evan Mobley, who I expect to continuously rise to where he's been the last couple of years, I expect Cleveland to be a really good team in the East. A lot of people are going to really underestimate them because they don't really talk about them that much. But I think Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell are going to be finally the 1-2 punch that everybody believes they can be. So yeah, and I think Kenny Atkins got a fucked up ass deal in Brooklyn when he coached Brooklyn, and then they brought in Kevin Durant, and they brought in Kyrie Irving, and then James Harden, and they forced that man out to get Steve Nash, which just didn't make any fucking sense. But yeah, like I said, I'm gonna come back to the my MVP. I think I'm gonna come back to that later. Who I think could win MVP. But I'm gonna get into it like this. So the team that I have winning, the team that I think will be the best team in the Western Conference. I think they finish at least. I can't remember who had the. I don't know how many wins you had to have last year for the West. I think it was like 58. I think it was the number one seed who won the number one seed last year. 50. I think it was OKC who had 58 wins. I think last year. I say the same results this year. I think they come out like a house on fire. Then they kind of come back down to earth a little bit before the All Star break, and then they hype it back up just before the All Star, right after the All Star break, before they get to the playoffs. And that to me is the Dallas Mavericks. I think the Dallas Mavericks are going to be the number one team with the best record at the end of the Western Conference. I like Memphis this year. I love the Pelicans. That's my team. That's my fam. That's my home. I love the Pelicans. I think they might even surprise some people this year. I have so much love for Minnesota. I think Minnesota is a team that everybody's they just traded away Karl Anthony Towns, which I'm very hyped about. I think Minnesota could definitely challenge Dallas for that number one spot and get the best record in the West too. But I just feel like Dallas is going to come out like a house on fire because of how they lost last year. Losing in the NBA Finals, Luka, Kyrie, they finally met a challenge where they couldn't get over it. Also, bringing in Klay Thompson from the Golden State Warriors just adds fuel to the fire of the Dallas Mavericks. I like the rookie that they drafted, I think he's like 7'6" rookie. But I also like all of the pieces they already had, Derek Lively and all these other pieces that Dallas already have. I think they're gonna be the number one team. I think they get it by winning maybe I don't think 60, but yeah, I think they can get 60. I think they get 60. they get to 60. I think 60. I think 60. I think 60, 60, 61 wins will get them the number one spot in the Western Conference. I think they're going to be a really good team, but we shall see if they get back to the NBA Finals. I do not think they will. That's just me personally. I don't think they're getting back to the Western Conference. That's just me. Best team in the Eastern Conference. I've raved about them already, and I do believe they're going to be a really good fucking team again this year, like I said. And that's the Cleveland Cavaliers. I told you, man. Kenny Atkins is going to win Coach of the Year. I think Cleveland's going to finish top three. According to me personally, they're going to be the number one seed in the Eastern Conference. I think they're so behind the radar, nobody really talks about them. But like I said, I like Evan Mobley, Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, Jared Allen if he's healthy. I just feel like Cleveland has something, and they're quiet. You don't talk about them. They can easily win the East because, like I've said, I have little to no faith in Boston. I think Boston, if you've heard me talk about Boston for a while, I think them winning the championship is all they cared about. And after they won the championship, they lost that hunger. They lost that eye. They lost that competition. I think Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown are going to break at the seams this year because one, you have no Kristaps Porzingis, and on top of that, you didn't get healthy. You didn't get younger. You kind of kept the same core. And usually, when you keep the same core of players, you shit the bed the following year, even when you win a championship. If you don't believe me, go ask Drew Holiday, who won a championship with Milwaukee, and then for the next 2, 3 years struggled in Milwaukee trying to just get out the first fucking round. It is literally the worst thing that can happen to you because you lose that edge, you lose that hunger, you lose that eye to be dominant. So now you have a situation in Boston where you already are older, and on top of that, you already had players that kind of was already just like, we just want to win. Now you've won. Hell, Harford got his ring. Chris Kristaps got his. Derek White got his. Drew got his again. Jason and Jalen finally got theirs. I don't think they throttle it up. I think they throttle it back, and I think Boston's going to have a really shitty season this year. I think they're going to get in the playoffs because nobody's going to stop them once they turn it on. But I can see Boston easily being like a 49, 50 win team this year, and that's probably like a 4 or 5 seed in the East. Maybe just barely like crossing the line into the play-in, like just getting a top seed enough where you don't have to play in the play-in for the East. I think the East is going to be really good this year. A lot of people are not talking about the Eastern Conference a lot in the NBA because I don't think a lot of people really pay attention to it. I think the East is going to be really fucking good this year. Um, I have a lot of love, like I said, Orlando. I love Orlando. I think Toronto's going to be really fucking good. Miami's a question mark, but Miami's always a fucking question mark. Chicago is a bigger question mark, but Chicago's always a big fucking question mark. I think I said Toronto. I fuck with Toronto. I think Toronto's gonna be a really good team. I think finally it's Scotty Barnes' team. I think Scotty Barnes is gonna go out there and have a fucking ball out year. I wouldn't even be surprised if he ends up in some conversations for MVP at some point because he's gonna have such a crazy fucking year. You're gonna be just like, damn. Um, um, I love Indiana. I think Indiana's gonna be an amazing team. This year, I think after what they did last year, I think they take a massive step forward. The Knicks, of course, is the Knicks. I think the Knicks are going to be always an interesting fucking team, no matter as long as the Knicks live. Especially all the moves that they have made recently. That's going to be an interesting team. But I think Cleveland, man, is such a team that, again, has the players, have the chemistry, kinda, but now they have the actual head coach that can put it all together. And I think, like I said, Kenny Atkins got a shitty deal um, a shitty deal with the Brooklyn Nets. How he ended his time in the Brooklyn. I think Cleveland Cavaliers are going to be the best team in the Eastern Conference, and I think they're going to have the best record in the NBA. Now, again, I think Dallas is going to finish with like 60 wins. I think Cleveland could finish with 60, 61 wins. I think, again, this is the Eastern Conference. You're not asking them to do too much. You're asking them to do just enough. And I think the last couple of years, you've seen the Eastern Conference have the best record coming into the playoffs. You've seen, I think Boston last year had like 60 something wins. Milwaukee a couple years ago had like 60 something wins. The East is always a questionable conference because you can always win games against teams that are really lesser than you, like Washington, like Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? Like you got teams that just The West has always had more better teams that are always questionable. Whereas for the East, you have the easier slate. So I think Cleveland easily beats down on some teams early in the season, go on an early streak, early winning streak. A lot of people forget Cleveland went on a really early winning streak last year. Um, before they went on a really crazy winning streak last year. I think they start the season with a crazy ass winning streak. I think they dominate early, and I think they kill early to the point where you just look up and be like, damn, they on a 20 game, they on like a 16 game winning streak to start the season. What the fuck is going on? Cleveland's one of those teams that's very quiet. Like I said, very beyond, very quiet, very nonchalant. You're not really talking about them, and they get lost in the shuffle with the Knicks moves and the Philadelphia 76ers with their new big three and the Boston Celtics, and they can easily move right into the number one spot, and nobody's even gonna bat an eye until you're like, yo, they're like 5 games over first, like in front of everyone. Like, what the fuck is happening with Cleveland? And you're just gonna be like, yo, these motherfuckers are really fucking good, and that's what's gonna happen with Cleveland, man. Now, what thing's gonna win a conference? No, 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 no. I'm gonna do my MVP first before I get into the what I think is gonna be in the Eastern Conference Finals and the Western Conference Finals. In the NBA Finals and the Finals. Who I think is gonna win? Um, I'm gonna give y'all my MVP. Who I think is gonna win the MVP? To me, I got two choices, and both of them in the West. And to me, one is a person I already talked about, and that's Victor Wembanyama. I think the Spurs are gonna finish with a top four seed this year. Like I said, Chris Paul usually puts teams when he usually comes the first year, they always are magical. Especially with a guy like Greg Popovich, who's already a legend icon, one of the greatest head coaches of all time. He now has an actual basketball mind like Tony Parker on the court that's going to be controlling a lot of this offense, a lot of this team. And you put a Victor Wembanyama, who I feel like is already going to be Defensive Player of the Year, but I think Victor Wembanyama is going to be ungodly this year. I think he's going, and I know people are going to be like, Brandon, you really just think this kid's gonna be that fucking good? Dude is 7 fucking 6, can shoot threes, and can dunk out the fucking gym, literally. Yes, motherfucker, I expect him to be great this year. And now you don't have to think too much. Now you actually have a team built for you, and you actually have a player like Chris Paul who is so fucking gifted, and he's so great at getting the best out of the young talent, especially their first year. He's the best at getting the best out the young talent. You put that with Victor Wembanyama, who already had a pretty good year last year, even though he was a rookie. What else do you expect? I expect this to be dominance. I expect Victor Wembanyama to take a step forward, just like Devin Booker did when he first got there. I expect Victor Wembanyama to be dominant on both sides of the court. I expect Victor Wembanyama to actually average about 30, close to 30 points. 30 points, 15 boards, about 5 blocks a game. I expect it all. I expect this kid to just dominate. And I know people are gonna think I'm crazy, but if he stays healthy, which is the key part of this all, I think he wins MVP. The only person I can say can beat him out for MVP is a person that's actually gonna have the ball in his hand more, and that is Say Gilgeous-Alexander. Zay Gilgeous-Alexander can also win MVP. I have two. I told you that. Victor, I think, is going to win it, but I would not be surprised if Say Gilgeous-Alexander steals it, especially if Victor kind of missed some games. I think Shea Gilgeous-Alexander can steal the MVP, and I don't mean in like in the sense of like steal it because they just gave it to him because they just felt bad for him last year. No, I mean steal it like if he takes it, nobody will be mad at it. I think Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is going to lead the league in scoring. I think he's going to. No, I don't. I don't think he's going to lead the league in scoring. I think Anthony Edwards is going to lead the league in scoring. I think Anthony Edwards is going to lead the league in scoring, but he's going to be second. I think Anthony's going to average about 32 points per game. Say Gilge is going to average about 31.6. It's about 32. 30. I think Anthony's going to average about 32.3. Say Gill's gonna average about 31.6, but he's gonna lead the league in triple doubles. Yeah, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is gonna lead the league in triple doubles, and that's what's gonna get him the MVP. He is that fucking good. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is it's like 6'8" as a point guard and can dribble the fuck out the ball, score from anywhere on the court. Then he can play both sides of the court. Yo, the dude's different. Yo, dude, different, bro. Dude is fucking different. I think also OKC, like I said, the Spurs are gonna probably finish in the top four. I think OKC is gonna finish top two. I have that much faith in OKC Thunder. I think a lot of people think last year was a fluke that they finished with the number one seed in the West. I think they're going to finish at least top one or two in the Western Conference this year, and it's actually going to be a better year this year. You actually have you actually have better competition this year. But I think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to have an amazing fucking season because again, how it all ended. I think he feels like they could have beaten Dallas last year in the Western Conference semifinals. I really do believe he thinks we could have beat Dallas last year. We should have beaten Dallas last year, but I didn't play up to I didn't play my part. He's going to come out on a tear, and I think he's going to lose his shit. And I think he wins MVP. I think he wins MVP if Victor Wembanyama doesn't, and that's the thing. How I think these conference finals are going to go. I think the conference finals for the East is going to be the semifinals of last year's for the last year in the East, and that's the Knicks and the Pacers. Yes, I think the Cavs are going to lose, and I think they're going to lose to the Pacers. I think injuries will at some point catch the Cavs again in the playoffs. I think the Cavs are going to get injured, but I think they play the Pacers, and the Pacers beat them. I love the Pacers, man. I think Tyrese Halliburton. I think how the Pacers are built. I do believe getting Pascal Siakam last year in the playoff. Pascal Siakam was a massive thing, but the way the Pacers are made, and also when you have a veteran like Rick Carlisle who has coached so many amazing teams, so many great things, he's eventually going to break through the ceiling. He's going to get you to a point where you're just like, damn. They got to the Eastern Conference Finals last year, but just ran out of gas. I think that series against the Knicks really took everything out of them. I don't think that's going to happen this year. I think they're going to get to the Eastern Conference Finals this year, and I think it's going to be another Game 7 type of scenario in the East with the Knicks in them. I think the Pacers get there. I think the Knicks walk through the East playoffs. I think the Knicks walk through the East playoffs this year, not like last year. This year, they walk through the playoffs this year. And the reason why I said that is because of who they're probably going to play. I think the Knicks ends up with the third seed in the Eastern Conference. I think the Knicks end up one or two in the Eastern Conference this year. I think behind Cleveland, I think they end up with the two seed again this year. And I think they play a depleted Philly and a depleted Boston, and they walk through both of them. Actually, I think Boston falls before they even get to the Eastern Conference semifinals. I think Boston falls in the first fucking round. To be honest with you, I think Boston loses to Miami, and I think Miami plays New York in the semifinals, and New York and Miami again runs into a problem that they always have, which is it's only Jimmy Butler when you get in the playoffs, and then bam fades, and then this person fades, and then this person fades, and then you're just like, what the fuck? So I just feel like the Boston Celtics, I think that the New York Knicks and the Pacers are gonna just walk into the playoffs. They're gonna go into this. I think the Eastern Conference Finals is gonna lead to a 7 game series, and this time the Knicks get them. Not because of Karl Anthony Towns, but because Jalen Bronson just has a heroic situation, and I think also the signing and the bringing in of Mikal Bridges, who some people don't even talk about enough. The man is never misses games, but on top of that, he plays both sides of the court, and he's actually been better. He's better in the playoffs. People don't talk about that. So I think that's a massive upgrade. And I love DiVincenzo, but that's a massive upgrade for Dante DiVincenzo, who just shoots jumpers. Mikal Bridges is actually an all around player who's been in those types of situations before, played in the NBA Finals before. It's going to be a different conversation. I truly believe that. So I think the Pacers and the Knicks meet in the Eastern Conference Finals, and I think the Knicks beat the Pacers this time around in Game 7. For me, the Western Conference Finals goes like this: the Thunder will either play the Spurs or the Pelicans. I think the Spurs or the Pelicans get to the Western Conference Finals. Now I know a lot of people think I'm a homer with the Pelicans because I'm from New Orleans. I think the Pelicans are going to be really good this year. It depends on health. That's all the Pelicans have always had. If the health is there, they're probably going to be good. I trust Willie Green a lot. But when you have a healthy Brandon Ingram and a healthy Zion Williamson, and then you bring in Deontay Murray from Atlanta, and now he's your 1-2 with a Jose Alvarado, who is one of the best still players in the league, and you still have Trey Murphy, and you still have Herbert Jones. Who the fuck's and you still got Giannis Valanciunas? Yo, who the fuck is stopping the Pelicans if they're healthy? They got the depth and they got the fucking ability. Yo, that's a scary fucking team. And how the season is going for the Saints, something's going to break for the Pelicans this year. I'm not saying they're going to the NBA Finals, but they're going to probably get to the Western Conference Finals. I truly believe that. That would be so crazy that if they make it to the finals, NBA Western Conference Finals, and my pops ain't even here to see it. Oh my God, he gonna be flipping up in heaven, man, because of that, man. Um, but also the Spurs. I think the Spurs could get there too. Like I said, man, I trust the Victor Wembanyama Chris Paul duo is going to be explosive and explosive fast. So explosive that it's going to come out of nowhere on teams. And it's just like, what the fuck is this? But I also think Devin Vassell, who nobody's talked about, he's going to make an effort. He's going to make an impact. Um, Kendall Johnson, he's going to make an impact. But more importantly, the rookie Stefan Castle from UConn. He's going to be so quiet that he's going to have an impact. And he can actually also pull off Rookie of the Year because, again, Chris Paul and Victor Wembanyama is going to be so much of the attention for a lot of the teams that he can just fall into place and just do what he needs to do. And like I've said, and I think one of those teams meet the OKC Thunder. I think the Thunder gets to the Western Conference Finals. I think they beat Dallas. I think they beat Dallas. Um, I think the Pelicans or the Spurs stun the Timberwolves. Like I said, Denver this year is very interesting. Denver has such a interesting situation that they can fall into the Philly situation, which is they don't get out of the first round. And I think the Thunder catches Denver early. I think they catch Denver so early and so fast that you're just sitting there like, damn. I don't see the Lakers making it. And if they do, they're not making it past the play in. I don't really see the Warriors making it. I like the Warriors this year better than I did a little bit more last year. I like the Warriors a lot last year, but then I think this year's better because they don't really have too much bullshit hanging over them. I think the Kings are going to be good, but I could also see the Kings also struggling and then having to trade pieces away. The Suns are going to make it, but I have no faith in the Suns past Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal. That's it. Portland is going to probably be better this year. I think Houston actually makes the playoffs. I think Houston actually makes the playoffs. I think they just get into the play. I don't think they just get into the play. I think they fall into the seventh seed and have to play in the play in. But I think they get the seventh seed out the gate. I think they win that shit and get the seventh seed. But I think the Thunder spur. I think the Thunder is making it. I think the Thunder. Shai Gilgeous is going to have such an amazing season. Uh, I think Chad Holmgren, his second full season is going to be amazing. I just feel like I think the Thunder are gonna make it, and like I said, they're gonna need to play the Spurs or the Pelicans. One thing is gonna be for certain, and that is that the Thunder is going to make the NBA Finals. I think the Thunder are going to make the NBA Finals, and they're gonna play the Knicks. And in the NBA Finals, I think the Thunder beat the Knicks. I think because as much as I love Jalen Brunson, as much as I love the New York Knicks, I think Shai Alexander takes advantage of Jalen Brunson. I think they're going to switch him off of Mikal Bridges. Mikal is going to probably pick up Shai Gilgeous a lot, but I think they're going to switch him off. And once they switch him off and put him back on Jalen Bronson, that's an easy victory for Shai Alexander. I think Chad Holmgren is already bigger than Karl Anthony Towns and stronger than Karl Anthony Towns, and he bullies him. he bullies him so much that you just like, God damn, man. I think the Williams twins that they have, the Williams brothers that they have in OKC are also going to be a very dangerous situation. I think another year with them on the court is going to be very dangerous. I think OKC is going to win the NBA Finals this year. I think OKC has enough pieces in that team that they can do it. I think the Thunder take it. I think the Thunder take it. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the NBA preview show. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you guys enjoyed the NBA season that kicks off this year, this Tuesday on TNT. We are back. It'll be the last time, man. The last inside the NBA in the NBA for the because now the NBA is moving from TNT to Amazon and I think NBC. So no more inside the NBA. So this is the last year of inside the NBA. And I know they're probably like if my NBA Eastern Conference Finals, because they will be calling the Eastern Conference Finals, I think this year. If my Eastern Conference Finals goes the way, I think they would love that Eastern Conference Finals for the last time. Knicks and Pacers, 7 game series, fucking right. In New York, fucking right. Let's get it. Um, but yeah, man. Um, but yeah, man. Hope you guys enjoy this NBA season. I will see y'all Tuesday for I Bleed Sports. They got 2 games. I will be talking about those 2 games. Probably be already be playing by the time I talk about them. But I'll be talking about the football season, football that just today. A lot of craziness went on this week. I'll be giving y'all my I Bleed Sports, recap of that. Everything that's going on in boxing. Baseball is officially coming to the World Series. The Yankees just made it last night. The Mets and the Dodgers are playing right now. The Dodgers win, they're in. If the Mets win, Game 7 tomorrow, which is gonna be fucking nuts. Kind of hoping the Mets win, because I want to see a Game 7, and I already predicted it. So, so let's go. But I'll be talking about all of that tomorrow on I Bleed Sports Tuesday. See y'all Tuesday, man. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I am Brandon Janeau. Enjoy the NBA season. Tip off is Tuesday. See y'all Tuesday. Peace.